Right here is our plant or flower we was trying to create before as a general very rough shape. So now I want to adjust some of the settings, and I think we can start with these first kind of leaves that going on a side, those leaves from our plant. Okay, let's go ahead first in a stem. We'll go inside the leaf property and we'll see what at this point we have. Notice we have it how many of them we wanted. So if we want to put it 6, we'll have it 6 of those leaves. Right now they're all bunched together. But one thing, all plants not necessarily will have it 6 of them. Some of them have it less, some maybe have it more. So for this we have it option, and you can see right here second box where it says plus and minus before this. The option that we can say make a random from any of these numbers. So for example, if I have it 4 and I put it inside 2, so it's meaning it can be anywhere from 2 to 6 of those leaves. This it will randomly generated for me, which is kind of nice because if we're going to create these plants and populate a huge field, they will be randomly created. One thing notice about the random generation and everything, that Plant Factory designed to work directly hand by hand with the Vue. And some of these properties that will available work only inside the Vue. So if you export this as FBX or OBJ, some of these properties won't be available for you in other applications. And many of these properties is actually very nice. So for example, if we look right here, you can see we have it age, season, health. Those elements that will apply to the plant. For example, plant can change its own based on the age. It can grow up or smaller, start from small seed and go on. Season, based on a season, if it's a fall, spring, or wherever, you can change color. Same as the health. Dependence can be very small and cripply, dry, or otherwise. So those properties will work. You can build them in, but they will work with the Vue application. So it is same like, for example, in the future when we look on a gravity and how that is affect, or wind, how strong is stem leaf and all these additional properties, how they work with the wind and breeze that work inside the Vue. So some of those elements again won't work if you export it as OBJ, FBX, or any other ones. Okay, let's go back to our stem. And right here on a stem, we'll look back to our leaves. So we set as a random property, so anywhere from 4 to 2. Okay. Next, let's go see what we have. We have a start mode, which was working, and end mode. And we already utilized this to bring down. So if we want, again, bring this little bit up, okay, let's go to kind of like going up, growing 0.5, and you can see if you want to create some of those leaves, not necessarily from 0 point, well, again, we can put it 0.5, but maybe adjust 0.05 again. So in this case, it will not necessarily go from 0, 0. Some maybe start there, but some may be going a little bit up and down. So it's give it some randomization. Almost all the time, what I recommend for the people, just add a small random number to all properties if you're using them. This way, it will create this very nice variety of the plants that you can do. Always remember, save your work as you're going. Okay, also the density is changed. Notice we have the start and end. And with the density, I can say start point, end point to the top. I can reduce my density. So if I want to go up, up, up and reduce amount of leaves, I'll just take this end and bring down. Currently, we don't use it in this plant, so just let you know it's there. But it's nice for some other plants. If you decide to make leaves go up and want less leaves here, or maybe leave less leaves on the top and or less leaves on the bottom and more on the top, then you can also modify with the density where more of those leaves will be located. And we have additional randomness, but right now we don't touch, so we'll leave this alone. Okay, now we have our placement. And placement is where currently located. If you notice, it's a surface of the segment. And sometimes surface of the segment will work very good. However, if we go closer, you can see how they're sticking out. So what do we want to do? We want to change, and let's go to axis of the segment. So it will bring them closer to the center. We still need work on a blending, how they will all blend together, but you can specify just imaginary center of the element and these stems going towards this. So in this case, because we will work with different blending and how plant work, I think we want to keep it surface of the segment. Next, it is kind of important rule and call. Okay, let's go to zoom out a little bit of this so we can preview. And anytime when you have a question, if you go over, you can see you have explanation what it does, so it's helpful for you. If you disable this in options, you can go back and enable again. And a rule is will allow our instance around the segment by angle, and a coil, it's allowed a rule by affecting step by step, so it is affecting by previous. And in some cases, let's adjust coil, and you can see how it's changing. Okay. Also, let's go back to the 0 and switch on a roll, and you can see how they're affecting this way. The one thing when you use it call and rule, I would recommend you as using random. For example, we can go and select 15 degrees example, and you can see how they change. Now let's go add 15 to randomization, and you can see now it does affect a little bit. They're not the same going. So if we're going more, maybe 45 degrees, now we change them as well. So when you work with a rule on coil, be sure you add randomization for this, because it will create nicer effect. So in this case, we'll use it 35, and we'll use it 35 on 2 of them. And we can look. Sometimes you can play around with the different degrees, see which one you like it better. And different amount of the leaves may require different also of the coil effect or rule. So for now, I'll just leave it this as default. Well, not default, but as selected. We'll play with this. Next, if we look, it is angle, and right now it's 30 degrees by default going. So if I want to get closer, I can move them, and you can see they're getting quite close. And it's probably what I want. I want to get it something more close, probably maybe about 85. But again, I want to add randomization. So if 85 is my top one, and I want to have it 15 degrees different, so I probably want to set this to 70 degrees. On this case, I know my topest will be 85, and it's minus 15, so about 55 will be the other element. So I don't want rotation because I will add some stem to this, but I think this is kind of element. Okay, next, you'll say it does not look like a leaf, it's look like small stick. So we could modify this by working later when we're going inside, and we can work in actually leaves. We can add some blades. Right now, I just want, again, going with general shape. It's much easier to look on a shape of the overall lines, how it's going, before we add any extra more details. Okay, I think that is look okay. Let's go look on a blending. And we can apply some blending. Blending will apply between child and parent. Root is our parent for this one, so we kind of can create some to these elements, and let's check, see what we have right now. So let's go ahead, we'll pop up just a little bit on the blending on the root. We won't worry too much about this because it will be going on the bottom, kind of won't be real visible. The one thing, sometimes work on details, you get it so much in this, you don't realize how much visible it's actually be, because this is teeny tiny. So we'll add some teeny details to this, but problem is they won't be real visible when we create plants or multiple. But adding all these additional subdivisions, it's add more polygons. So the purpose of this video will probably enable some of this, but just let you know, be careful, and many times when you're done, you can go back to your plants that you created and remove some of those properties. See if it still look about same. If it's look same and you reduce amount of polygons, how it's render, probably work very good. Okay, so we have it blending. A couple things still we here. Let's look very fast. And current, we don't really worried about. I want to go straight, but if we have on other plants and plants was moving left and right, we want to maybe set horizontism, which is how the leaves going against horizontal line adjustment. So we don't worry about those ones. But I do want kind of curve them because right now they stick very high up. And for this one, we'll go inside the leaf. And we have several things. One, influencer, we don't really worry about this. We'll come back later. And this is almost like last step. This has allowed us to see how the will affect like wind and other things. By the way, if you need wind, go right on top, click preview wind, and you can see how much wind will affect this. So for example, if we set wind effect to 0, those blades don't even move. So this way we can set, okay, stamp a little bit heavy, maybe affecting this Y, but wind may be affecting 0.2, a little bit less on the grass, so it's look a little bit more natural. And if we need effect gravity, we can affect, of course, gravity. You can see how much it's pushed back. But I think the gravity should be 0.3 for this, just a little bit affecting on our stem as it's going taller. And remember, this will affect on the toner. So if we're going inside the segment parameter, and right now link is 1 on all of them. Remember, we want to be sure it's randomized. So 0.5, some short, some high. And you can see some gravity will affect as well. Make, I think, look a little bit more natural in this way. Okay, let's go back to influencer. We also have it very interesting things. We have it also global basis that we can modify. And we also have it local base. And with this, we can actually create a very interesting effect, like curling and other things. Let me disable the wind. And just till we're here, let's look on a local base. So with this, we can actually modify in a way it will affect. Notice how it starts bending more. But interesting that if we modify and add some, we can make curly, and you can see how it's curling now. Okay, I go back to my. So we can create very interesting swirly, curly things. Okay, -5 maybe. Let's go opposite direction. Or create, in this case, straight, and let's go maybe 0.1. We'll just a little bit add curly. It does override some of our gravity, if you remember. So we have it right here with some effect on the gravity. Okay, influencer, our gravity. So some affecting, but again, local base may override some of those. And depend what you want, how you want to do. If you want to create a more natural look with the wind, or you want it with a gravity effect, currently it's not effect, or if you want to create permanent, so for example, let's say gravity 0 will enable creation, and the directions, again, X, Y, Z, so we can adjust. Z is going this, it will curl around them. Let's just example set 1 here. And you can see how they start affecting. Okay, let's go maybe 10, may make more visible this way. 0.2. Just adjustments, kind of. You can play a little bit more, but this way it will affect some of the string and direction, but it is not directly related to any other influence. It's a plant itself. Sometimes I like to do, if I want to preset but again, you can use always gravity. And remember, if we're using this, we always want to use random, so it will add kind of nice effect on randomization on this one. Okay, let's do also look on the filters. And with filters, we can say how much it will influence on what point. So for example, if we want our tips will go straight, we can always do kind of like this, and you can see going, and tips after will go like this, going straight. So kind of almost up. Okay, let me set point here and bring this up, and a little bit even more weird shape. So we can effect kind of like twisty stuff going with leaves if you want the top one going up. Let's bring this closer. Look away on the plants. And the problem is right now, it's what I said, if you start doing this before you create general shape, you kind of start getting into that too much and not necessarily the best things. Right now we do have a time to play. So in this case I can actually readjust. Maybe like this. Or let's cancel and go back. But you can see how easy to manipulate with the shapes of this. Let's leave local base here. And remember, you have all of these different effects. So if you want, you can create a curling effect. You can also create a swirl around or a twist. This is kind of interesting. Again, we need to modify some of these properties in string. For the twist, like example, let's go 10. And you can see it's twisting by the axis right here. Kind of hard to can't see it, but twist will help you if you have needles maybe on top of this. Okay, this is our curling. Too much on a curling here. And again, we can put it 1, 1, so it's going around. Let's go 10 on this. There you go. So we'll just add, you can add curls to this. Swirling, attraction also, so it's going to attract to other ones if you have it. But right now we'll go just directional. Okay, -1 on this. Ooh, maybe too much. And let's go right here, 0.5. So again, we'll just set a little bit lean out of the plant. I think that will look a little bit better. Okay, so let's add a couple other things to this. And right now we're on a leaf, and other important things, it does not look like a leaf at all because we don't have those blades. To create blades, we need to go inside a segment, and you'll notice right on the side we have it called blades. Let's go enable, and there we have it, our blades enabled. They look quite a bit wide, so we'll need to rework on this. Number of the blades currently is 1. If we put it 2, you'll see they have it cross, so we'll just need it 1, and it's going symmetrical. Start, it's where they begin and end. So we also could change the shape where the start and begin. But overall, if we're going to end right here, let's go, and we can specify where do you want the stop and cut a little bit too far, so we don't necessarily, we'll just leave it as default, but we do want to specify blade width. So overall we have it our width preset. Notice we also have it automatic. So in after size we'll set this based on the leaf size. In some cases, if we're using randomizations, we do want to use it after size because it will help us to properly set the plant width, because if bigger leaf, blade will be wider, smaller, less. But blade width, it's not representing how it's going because there's thinner here and maybe thicker on the bottom. So we're going inside our profile. And let's say we'll set point on the middle. We'll take beginning down, and see right here we'll have it brought down. and we'll take top down. So now we created this kind of looking leaf. Again, I'm not sure if I want to beginning be this way, because we could play a little bit more with the width, and I'll show in a second what we're going to do. Actually, yeah, let's leave right here so we don't mess up. But later we'll increase, and I'll show how we can interesting wrapping around there. And of course, we'll go switch hard line to soft line. So just make a little bit more natural, smoother element. Okay, let's go click OK. And so far, this is we have it leaf. Let's go in the next video. We continue kind of doing work with these leaves. And these leaves, it's help us with create petals for our flower. So we won't go too sophisticated. We're going to use similar techniques in many. But when you get a handle of understanding how it's work, that will help you to also progress to use different nodes and keep on adding more elements.